When most people think about Orlando, they probably picture theme parks, mouse ears, roller coasters, and maybe even a really, really long line for butterbeer. But Orlando has a whole other side that tourists and even some locals don't even know about. This city is packed with world records, bizarre landmarks, gator-infested swamps, and even a claim to the moon. So today we're counting down 10 things you probably didn't know about Orlando. Some of these are wild, some are weird, and a few might just make you look at the city beautiful in a completely different way. Orlando is the most visited city in the US. With more than 70 million visitors every year, Orlando is officially the most visited city in America. Yeah, they get more visitors than New York, even more than Las Vegas. And all those people need to get around. That's why Orlando International Airport has also become the busiest car rental hub in the entire world. This is basically the car rental capital of the world. Ever wonder why I-4 traffic can feel like Mad Max? Well, that's because thousands of tourists every day get handed keys to unfamiliar vehicles. Lots of them don't know their way around. They've got one eye on the road, the other is looking at the GPS. And lots of visitors from the UK are over here driving on the right side of the road for the very first time. So driving around here can be pretty rage-inducing. Traffic is bad, especially in that tourist zone between Universal Studios and Walt Disney World. It is the worst of the worst over there. In sheer number of hotel rooms, Orlando is second only to Las Vegas, but it's unfortunately number one in timeshares. Orlando has over 130,000 hotel rooms, which make it the city with the second most hotel rooms in the entire US, behind only Las Vegas. And here's a fun number, nearly 20% of all the timeshares in the entire world, the whole world, are located right here too. That means Orlando isn't just America's playground, it's basically the global headquarters for those awkward and aggressive timeshare presentations. So if you've ever accepted a free Disney ticket just for coming in and having breakfast and live to regret it while they keep you hostage for hours, congratulations, you've helped fuel that statistic. Orlando is home to the world's largest McDonald's, and it's a town with quite a fast food obsession. Of course, when you get this many visitors, you also need lots of fast food places to feed everybody quickly, and Orlando delivers with the world's largest McDonald's. This isn't just any old burger stop, it's 19,000 square feet of burgers, fries, and flashing lights. It has a 2-story play area, an arcade, an aquarium, and even a menu that includes pizza, pasta, and food you really can't find in any other McDonald's. It's kind of like a McDonald's crossed with a Chuck E. Cheese. And here's a tip if you ever want to check this place out. This part of town, and this place in particular, can get extremely busy and extremely crowded and packed with traffic, especially at night right after Universal Studios closes for the night. It's right down the street, and hordes of people head this way for an after-park meal. But if you really want to see this place for yourself, I'd probably recommend stopping by in the afternoon. A lot less crowded then. And if having the world's biggest McDonald's isn't enough, Orlando has been ranked among the most fast food saturated cities in the entire country, with more chain restaurants per capita than almost anywhere else. Is that a claim to fame or a claim to shame? I don't know. So in other words, Orlando isn't just the home of the biggest McDonald's, it might just be the unofficial fast food capital of the world too. The Orlando Eye is the second tallest Ferris wheel in the Western Hemisphere. This thing isn't just a big Ferris wheel, it's over 400 feet tall, making it 75 feet taller than the Statue of Liberty. It's also the tallest observation wheel in the eastern half of the US and the second tallest in the Western Hemisphere. Only the High Roller in Las Vegas is taller. And globally, it ranks as the 12th tallest Ferris wheel. A spin around this thing gives you views of downtown Orlando, all the neighboring theme parks, and on a really, really clear day, you can even see Kennedy Space Center and the Atlantic Ocean from up there. Orlando is home to Steinmetz Hall, one of the most acoustically perfect theaters on Earth. Not everything in Orlando is about roller coasters and gators. There is even some culture here, believe it or not. In 2022, the city opened Steinmetz Hall at Dr. Phillips Center, and it's been called one of the most acoustically perfect theaters in the entire world. Here's what makes it so crazy. The hall was built with an adjustable acoustic shell that can transform the space for different performances, from full symphony orchestras to Broadway musicals. The sound in here is so pure that when the hall is empty, people say you can literally hear a pin drop and even your own heartbeat. That's kind of creepy. Don't love that. There's only a handful of theaters like this on the planet, and Orlando is now on that list. So yeah, Orlando isn't just home to the world's biggest McDonald's, it's also home to a place where you can hear a violin so crisp it might bring you to tears. Lake Jesup is the most alligator-dense lake in the world. Now, Florida has plenty of gator-filled swamps and lakes, but none of them come close to Lake Jesup, just outside Orlando. This lake is estimated to hold more than 12,000 alligators, and that makes Lake Jesup very likely the most alligator-dense lake on Earth. The water is basically 50% swamp, 50% toothy reptile. And you can even come out here and take an airboat tour here from the Black Hammock Fish Camp, which is a place well worth visiting all on its own for some real old school Florida vibes. This place is very rustic, it's a little rough around the edges, but it is very, very Florida. And it was the first place I ever tried fried alligator at when I was a kid. It's still here, so I do have a bit of a soft spot for this place. They kind of taste like rubbery chicken nuggets. And while we're talking about alligators, let's talk about Gatorland. This was Orlando's first theme park. Before Disney, before Universal, before SeaWorld, Orlando's first theme park was Gatorland. It opened way back in 1949, so that's 22 years before the mouse decided to show up around here. Which is interesting because Gatorland is kind of seen today as one of those side attraction, tourist trap type places, which I don't really think is fair, but it was actually the first one here, and for decades, it was the place to see Florida's wild side. The iconic giant alligator mouth entrance is out there, and this place calls itself the alligator capital of the world, with hundreds of gators, crocodiles, live shows, and even a zip line that sends you flying over their enclosures if you're brave enough. You can even feed them, you can get your photo taken with them, and see lots of birds, mammals, and other reptiles here. Gatorland is very vintage roadside Florida at its very best, and it's proof that gators were the original mascots of Orlando tourism. Sorry, Mickey. Now, I really like this place. I'm kind of a big Gatorland fan. It's a fun place, but you gotta go in with the right mindset. This place is kind of kitschy, it's a little rustic, it's a little bit lowbrow, but if you go in knowing that, you'll have a good time here. And they often have really good deals for Florida residents, too. The Catholic Diocese of Orlando covers the moon. This one is pretty wild. This one is truly out of this world. Thanks to a quirky bit of Catholic canon law, when Apollo 11 launched from Cape Canaveral in 1969, that was part of the Diocese of Orlando's territory, and under church rules at the time, any new land discovered by explorers belonged to the bishop of the place they launched from. Yeah, this sounds like some really old school stuff. But that means that Orlando's first bishop, William Borders, technically became the Bishop of the Moon. He even joked about it for years, saying he was the only bishop with a parish nobody could ever visit. I couldn't wait to talk about this one, the eyesore on I-4. Every local knows about this one far too well. It's the butt of jokes and endless memes. Its official name is the Majesty Building. It's an 18-story glass tower in Altamont Springs, and it was meant to be the headquarters for Super Channel, a local Christian TV station, along with a bank and some office space. Construction began way back in May of 2001, but developer Claude Bowers vowed to build this debt-free. He didn't want to borrow any money to build this, paying only in cash as donations came in. So that trickle-in funding meant years would go by with zero visible progress, leaving this big empty building looming over Orlando's busiest highway. Some around here even call this the city's most famous landmark. Others call it the city's ultimate metaphor for I-4, backed up, frustrating, and permanently under construction. And at 18 stories, it's actually the tallest building in Seminole County, which only makes its half-finished state even more glaring. It's been 24 years and the building still isn't done. For perspective, Universal Studios built an entire new theme park right here in 6 years, and the Castillo de San Marcos in St. Augustine was built with 17th century tools, stone, and manpower, and that thing only took 23 years. The Spanish finished an entire fortress faster than Orlando could finish a glass office tower. Lake Eola is a giant sinkhole, and it's 80 feet deep. Downtown Orlando's most famous lake isn't really even a lake at all. It's actually a giant sinkhole plunging more than 80 feet down. And it's not alone. Orlando has over 100 lakes, and most of them are sinkholes too. But these lakes create tough obstacles for city planning, making it hard to lay out a regular straight road grid. So instead, Orlando streets have to weave around bodies of water, often producing a curvy, confusing layout. which is one reason Orlando can be kind of a nightmare to drive in. Basically, the lakes shaped the roads, and the roads shaped your GPS-induced meltdowns. And while we're on the subject of driving in Orlando, despite popular belief, using a turn signal is not illegal in Orlando or anywhere else in Florida, and letting someone merge is not a felony offense either. Remember that out there, alright? And Lake Eola also has something that other lakes don't, kind of a weird legal backstory. In 1883, cattle baron Jacob Summerlin donated the land to the city with one catch: it always had to be a park. If the city ever failed to maintain it, his heirs could take it back. So next time you're out on one of those swan boats, remember, you're floating above a bottomless pit protected by a cowboy contract. So yeah, Orlando isn't just theme parks. It's home to the world's biggest McDonald's, the most gator-packed lake on Earth, and a building that might just take longer to finish than the pyramids. And if you learned something new today, hit that like button. And if you want more Florida hidden gems, wild history, and weird trivia, hit that subscribe button too. It really helps the channel grow, and I sincerely appreciate that. Thank you so much for doing that. I've got plenty more Sunshine State stories coming your way. Stay safe out there, and I will see you around the Sunshine State.